Have you ever just felt like a stupid medieval oops? I just read your OP, and what are you even talking about? You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and I strongly suggest that you personally figure out why your church systems are broken and that why you're fucking with the medieval manuscript you call the Bible. Well, in the year 2020, open your eyes. Does NASA scientists know that the Earth is not 6,000 years old? So, do we know that? Yes or no? According with this internet, which tells me that this internet in the year 2020 told me that you have great apes growing up to be a lot of people that I respect, just as such as George Washington, where I read Human Evolution. And I'd just like to express I was in the Silicon Valley, so I'd like to explain to you when we magically evolved this internet. It was as it sprouted out, kind of grew up from daisy trees or something, to be honest. I feel kind of worthless in doing this for us. We were just coming out of the Cold War era while we put together all the fanciful machines that immediately broke in the year 2000 because we immediately break everything. And so we immediately break everything. It's our habitual, perpetual task. And I'm trying to say we just immediately broke everything once again. And that was, we forgot that James Ussher himself may have provided us a medieval calculation of a 6,000-year-old literal medieval magic proofing. And if this is a literal medieval magic proofing, I'm going to express my willingness to wear a purple tuxedo or something should be sufficient to explain that I'm actually willing to put myself up here to tell you that Kabbalah with the Q and the Bible are equivalently cult relationships, where Kabbalah with the Q with the equivalent cult relationships at the same time through world history, the two together had the capacity through the disobedience to how we retain the record keeping of the Bible itself, had the capacity to 100% erase world history. So now we're in the year 2020, and I'm saying, can we look at a few things together before we erase more world history? Because I found a literal erasure that was beginning in the year of October 23, 4004 BC. We didn't keep good record of anything, of the illegitimate relationships we had. And so, with this illegitimate relationship of our church systems keeping an inappropriate date that NASA scientists themselves don't actually, knowing that the earth is older than 6,000 years, have not taken the time to say that meant their Catholic Church systems was medieval, did not themselves take the time to determine that the medieval cult church systems of the Baptists using 66 books and then all of the perfectly organized outshoots into the world we have, into I actually am coming up from Baptist saying I'm here to shake us up a little bit because we kept James Ussher. And I'm here to shake up Baptists a little bit. We did this. We kept James Ussher. I studied it well. I studied it all my life. That's all I can say. And that's what I did. And I did it as I was supposed to, which meant that after I met my missions trip in the former USSR, the distributing the Bible in Russia, I actually witnessed Russia soon after the fall of the Berlin Wall. And so I saw that relationships. I have pictures to show you. To take my personal handwritten notes of the Bible apart around Matthew chapter 5, verse 1 is to present you to the pictures of that era. So I'm asking us to take a break and look at that era where I'm asking to return in thought to the Cold War. And this return in thought will remind us immediately they did not permit us to know much. And what they did not permit us to know much was that they weren't atheists. They just were not permitted the Bible. So that what that bound them is was the two churches on both sides of Red Square, where you had on one side the shopping center and then the second opposite side the communal pick up your food areas. And in that type of, they worked together, and they also, but they were bound to those structures of those church systems. They had two in Red Square. So when I conducted my missions trip, I witnessed Hare Krishna chant. We're, I'm here to remind us that Baptists could be wrong, and to actually begin a legitimate Hare Krishna movement in order that we can demonstrate that that is all it would take if we took some time to do this, to demonstrate this Hare Krishna movement. And if we were to demonstrate just with this simple, no big change, I'm going over to Google Translate in demonstration. Probably should get a drink of water. I'm going to drink water first. So I demonstrated earlier my like for um, venison, and that was a blessing. But let me have a drink, please. And I am actually unable to sleep because I'm scared of forgetting something right now that this has become so completely complex. It's taken me 13 years to figure out what the King James Bible did not contain. And if that's a possible not containment, it did not contain anything but the question of who wrote those books down. So I'm directing my Baptist counterparts if we could open our eyes right here to the Book of Mormon immediately. And just know that that was a bright light. We have Alcoholics Anonymous in our church facilities. Thank you. And that puts us in that era to the Cold War era, please. And with the bright light phenomenon, we have this weird little think I'm in prophecy legitimately my name in order to have record keeping. I'm trying to demonstrate fully and complete record keeping of the takedown of our church systems. Lord Yeshua, give me the words around the construction of our very very detailed, because this is a timestamp, a legitimate timestamp, where October 23, 4004 BC, you were looking for a millennial jubilee. Well, I found it, and it's right here on this website. So through my finding this millennial jubilee, I found it on the website. Ariel Sharon doesn't get to vote in this one. Here I'm going to try to determine what the word exposit meant, because we're at a long, I said 2 months, and I'm going to record and kind of prepare myself for this 2 months right now as I sit down, and because I can't sleep. So I thought it would be fun. The if this is going to work for anything, it's going to be asking a lot of questions, I guess. Because if I want to take full credibility and accountability that my church system was broken when I was taught what I didn't learn, I want to take all of that and explain, is it possible that we studied everything else and created I want to say we erased our mistakes by making them so shallow with immature responses in how we judged whether we did it right or wrong. Please. With that, world peace is probably not possible because right here we took God and Moses speaking face to face out and told us that the Bible did not actually say God wanted world peace, or the Bible did not require it. We had a different little oops, where with that logic, we as Baptist sermon, we kept the validity of these books so perfectly into why we would have a building, I guess. And it was in a combative way to the Roman Catholic Church, and I'm not quite sure what all of the the Philippines, it's pretty easy to see that they are not actually us. Again, I'm German and I'm not them. And with the we have using ourselves to through I'm just here to explain everything I can do that God actually wants us to have. Yes, the theory of evolution was a theory and now a name associated with this is a simple one now. However, I have to break everything apart verse by verse and say, best I can tell, this is where we had a full generation in these erasures. And the really weird part is the further I got into past just the 1976 point of where I was born and my kind of the where did Mr. R. Rush come from, I guess, and why would I even do this? And pull apart the Bible and say, hey, come over here, let me tap you on your shoulders, is because it is broken. It was never assembled correctly, is what I can't tell how we bought it as how we studied it. Because what we studied was the medieval oopses, and we didn't understand the medieval oopses were all of the little everything they ground improperly. So everything winding and grinding improperly, it provided us the more of a medieval cleanup project where I'm making bad jokes about where just drops of sperm on the ground, please. In your wherever I'm now at, the only thing I can do is say that the sprinkling of the sixth and seventh books of Moses, Rastafarian way I'm prescribing, please, as part of the Shiva consciousness opening, a different thought about rather a return to the 1917 era drug laws and utilize marijuana a lot, grow it in our churches and not make a big deal about it as a trade for the bright light of the how does this one sound? as a trade for the bright light of Alcoholics Anonymous, and which is the story of coming out of World War II into the symptom of what I can only explain is a medieval blackout that is perfectly accounted within a hangover and a blackout and the repercussions into what that would do into your life, and how we have Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12-step programs. And it's only 12 steps to understand that God didn't like us taking God and Moses speaking face to face out of with the days of Balaam disorderment of time. That is, we have a year 1666. Everything went kaplat. I can't explain it, to be honest. The year 1666, everything went kaplat. Dead Sea Scrolls, on the origin of the species, which I am actually. How do I ask NASA scientists if they mind that I just say they're delusions, that they think they know what they're talking about? Beside Mr. Socrates, when I'm looking at 1537s and 1602, and the Quran. And the Quran turns into that those NASA scientists are just sprinkles of sperm also. So it's all a mating thing. If we can level down to zero and say that every bad decision we have ever made is because we did not calculate our influence and our permission to have future children, is really uh, as compared to in the Christian community, it was looking forward to a correction, and not having it was just looking forward to correction. What I'm only able to see is that what appeared to me is no more buying or selling of books. We kind of got it with the Boris Yeltsin thing on this website, and they're not asking for money. Or they're not selling books. They are asking for money though, and we're just having fun together right now, right? And the I'm looking, there it is. So I'm not picking on you. James Ussher, 4004 BC. James Ussher was the Archbishop of Ireland and Archbishop of Armagh and Primate of all Ireland between 1625 and 1656. We had a situation here we forgot about. So let me, I'll oh, that would be 3281 is what that, six, I wonder what that came out. I'm gonna, oh, what, let's go to Gematrix, kids. I'll send this. Did you know this one? 3281. Calculate. So many gods on Gematria, you all better hope for your right ruffles. With my body I do thee worship. If and then we're 1656. If thy body I do thee worship, this is my request. If I my body I do thee worship. When was this written down? We don't know. Sniffle a little bit. Matthew 5 verse 1 appeared to me as sniffle a little bit. We don't know when that was written down. Google, when was it? Took me 13 years to space this part far enough apart to know that I had to use Facebook. And now I'm bouncing around in Facebook doing this. This is a lot of work. I've been doing this in Facebook for a really long time. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him. And so I just like to see, this is the Sermon on the Mount. So I found the 1611 King James Bible. In addition, with this read me in wisdom part that told me that the 1611 King James Bible had 75 books, and I've seen that with 75 books. So I'm reading with 75 books. Call the Apocrypha, and there's a lot of stuff, but rather than considering it, it's a question of what did we subtract and when did we subtract this particular piece, and then the effect it had on us, because this thing does not actually exist. We've streamlined it down to nothing, that we have a lot of good references into it. And here now, King Daoud was Olde, Olde, and stricken in Yeres, Yeeres, and they coered him, Couerd, with clothes that he, Hee, gate, Gate, no heat. Now King David was old, stricken in years, and they covered him with clothes, and they gave him no heat. But now, do you see how that broke our translations to maintain? This just completely broke all of our. I don't know where this thing came from or its validity, but they have pictures of it, and I have the 1537, and I can't even read it. I couldn't type anything from it, that's for sure. But in 16, we have the common ancestry of the word book here. In 1611, the King James Bible, the word book in Matthew chapter 5, verse 1, began with the word BOOKE, and we have the sprinkling of a BOKE 1537 twice in 1602. BOOKE, the end of the evolution of the word book in the year 1666. With this really weird, you'll get a corrective point at the I'm just here to explain to you that apes aren't most likely NASA scientists, but they have left us a lot of weird things to consider. When I really thought about it, evolution is what we were doing while we were waiting for a correction. Evolution is what we were waiting to grow up to figure out what happened to us. Evolving. We're 7.7 billion of us. Beautiful. I need to catch us. And I can catch us with when On the Origin of the Species was published in 1976, it had a reminder of the James Ussher chronology. And I'm calling that the delusional apes invented writing theory right now, because it's literally in my mind, the delusional apes invented writing in NASA. And I find kind of repetitive dismay with that, and if that's it. So I'm presenting that's the worst of the worst and the lowest of the lowest of our church systems. We're 100% off to being incorrect, as we were observing the medieval Catholic Church being 100% off in its teachings, having basic but limited knowledge of the orthodoxy of the Ethiopic Tawahedo church systems. But that orthodoxy is something I've observed, and you can observe it here on YouTube. It's an Episcopalian orthodoxy, but however, all of the rituals of all of these things, as I've observed, are all centered around a medieval manuscript with a false authority that was falsely broken at James Ussher, October 23, 4004 BC. So I've fully taken the Bible apart at October 23, 4004 BC and figured out what was wrong with it. And the best of the best is it was just broken, meaning we could do one 100% opportunity now, never having ever thought of this one all at once in a newspaper article. The Bible was broken. and we didn't know it. That meant everything else went kapla. Is that a newspaper article that we're expecting or we're willing to accept? Is a question I legitimately have, and I'll explain. It would mean that we were thinking about everything correctly and we were thinking about everything incorrectly at the same time. And with this opportunity to take we knew we were entirely wrong and we knew we were entirely incorrect and we knew we were entirely correct, let us actually take inventory and stock our churches with what we have before we erase anything else for arguing with each other. And it's an erasure. That we accept this is I'm explaining the 9/11 jihad to us, and then I'm doing this because I'm a nice guy, and it is because that meant Ariel Sharon needs to step down. He's a puppet right now because God does what he wants. World peace is not possible because I have a website right over here that subtracted God and Moses speaking face to face. So I'm just spending a little bit of time trying to figure out what the word exposit means. So I'm going to go back to Gematria. 3281. Hello, Gematria is my old friend. It's nice to speak with you again. Hello, hello. No, let's see, exposit. Surprise. The Jim and I, behind the curtain, darkness to light. Right eye, April 4th. So let's look at April 4th. What could we do between now and then? I'm saying 2 months to understand how to write the Bible, but it requires the 1611 King James Bible. April 4th, our Sparkies would have a full inventory of our Neolithic settlements around our areas. If we just say, let us make man in our image, could you talk with your teachers and bring us pictures of our movements? We have no data. We have no data between October 23, 4004 BC. Honest, very little, no data. Honest, very little, no data between October 23, 4004 BC. So I'm trying to shake it up right there with it is literally really bad no data. Refusal to look behind us and stop and smell the roses. Bad no data. With the legitimate, we're willing to all together pull together and assess ourselves with a legitimate bad no data for 6,000 years because as consequence with James Ussher. And because what I actually have determined through research into the Dead Sea Scrolls, that consequences were a token within. The church systems are just because we erased all of our mistakes with having no data as how to why we erase more mistakes. In my example of the Calvary Bible becoming Calvary Baptist as it evolved down into the beautiful, perfect Bible cult. with the retention of James Ussher, and my father's name is David, so I'm doing this to make a simple argument to my mommy to get. I've been begging them to stop going. I can't get them to, because of the piano. He needs to leave, is what he. So she plays the piano. She says elders, and we're very good at it. And all of her life, she taught. She was a Christian school teacher. And all of her life, she taught uh, elementary, first, second grade, I think, and third. Maybe we had that wing, and that wing is nothing now. We lost all. There's no. I don't know if we did not keep track of what happened to the people in the communities. Did they all just disappear and hide? A few people died off. Rightfully, a lot of people just stopped going and people left. But what keeps the false authority to continue to teach a medieval legend into the year 2020, where his false authority is that he does not open up his eyes to his own local area, and he did not open his eyes up to the legitimate prophecy of the Bible, which is he miscalculated Earth history, refusing to talk to me using the Bible about Kennewick Man. I couldn't even talk to my own pastor of this cult church because he knew the days of Peleg, disorderment of time. Shame on him. I need him to retire. If there's such a thing as world peace, it's because of this website. There's nothing in the Bible. It's a surprise when I got it apart. Low on it. Who wrote which line? So in Exodus 33:11, you had the Joshua and Moses face-to-face relationships. So Joshua wrote the 120-year death record in Deuteronomy 34:10. So as we bounce up to the four in Matthew chapter 4 who are called by Jesus in Matthew chapter 4, we had the book of in the 1666, the word book evolved into book from BOKE to BOOKE to remaining BOOK, which kind of spooked me out when I figured that was in 1976 in the 1859 printing of On the Origin of the Species by means of delusions that apes grew up to invent writing in the year 3500 BC. It's possible, but I don't think that happened. Let's. If we have this as a theory of our origin, it's time to confirm. I've never had that one. If we have that as a theory of origin, it's time to confirm. I am actually quite positive we could ask Mr. President Trump to confirm for us just on the say, hey, in order to keep this, I'll make you kids a deal. We'll listen to Mr. R. Rush for a week. Not make fun of Mr. President Trump, but ask him to just say, hey, did the great ape grow up to become you to make such poor decisions? That's kind of how did we have NASA scientists who refusing God, and while we have this website who NASA scientists could have read about we have a single point of every verse in the Bible was misinterpreted into a single flat earth legend that was reduced to a young earth legend and things like that, where we missed our missing link to that we did not have it, is what I can tell. It's kind of cool. So, having missed my missing link to what I could could not find. I still have not. I'm recording myself giving testimony for my granddaughter and you guys, your kids, that I'm quite positive here on Pets and Animals that I did not grow up from a grade 8 who evolved writing, and I'm pretty sure that that one is scientific. The If that's good, I've trained my dog sign language, and that worked for my dog, and he always knew what I was thinking some of the time, and it was always kind of weird. The That's the Quran. The prophecy of me explaining how to include the Bible with the Quran came through the book of Galatians, and use this thing in wisdom. You got to do it with memory. Is that the book of Galatians, the Apostle Paul, it is we don't really know the 13 unluckies when they were written down, and we had the one we don't know where it came from that shows up in my Kabbalistic QMS, the the fourth, wait, okay, first, second, third, and fourth. Third, yeah, so that would have been the 13 unluckies. 14 would have been a sacred, is what I can pull out of my brain. The But with the magic sprinkling of what I can say I'm reading here is, we have to look at this. We have to observe this, because this is the sixth and seventh books of Moses right here. The sixth and seventh books of Moses. I can't read this thing, so it's a demonstration. Exodus. Here in 33. Okay, I've got it. I finally figured this out. If world peace is possible, it's because we're willing to admit that we were removed from our sermons right here. Viewing the original 1611, our Bible has been broken since then, and Moses spoke, Towok the tabernacle, and pitch it without the Kampi variable, as I'm expressing. It's disappointing. And the Lord spake unto Moses face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend. And he turned again into the camp, but his soul and Yahusha. I'll tell you a little bit more, has to do with the Quran. The son, S-O-N, the son of Nun, a young man departed not out of the tabernacle. That is the literal, okay, I'm sorry, the Davidic covenant included having this bit being read to you. And so right over here, I am really, really sorry. Got questions, buddies? Yes, you have. But where did we get this misinterpretation from? We are one in a one. We're nothing with this interpretation. We have an empty church that can't tell another empty church is dead. John 1. So we can't tell that the Catholic Church is broken, and we knew it was broken, so we told them to stay away from us. But I used their Bible, which contained the 75 books that the 1611 Bible also contained, to understand here in John 1, where it says, in the beginning, is not once upon a time, I guess. With 6 and 7 books of Moses, magic sprinkling, the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In 1985, Book of Jehovah's Witnesses was a God. The same was in the beginning with God. So on your website where you took it out, it's the final judgment. You actually took it out. So you took that out. because you don't know. So he left you in zero. He left you at zero consciousness. He left you at zero consciousness. Got questions? Our churches have zero repentance consciousness. We just refuse to look that we are using a bad manuscript, and why can't we turn the Pope off? If the prophet of the Mormon Church was a legitimate prophet, he would say, "Why can't they turn you off?" Have we ever tried to turn the church off? If we turned everything off because I asked, saying, "Yeah, my father's name is David," it'll surprise him. We need to do that for the senile pastor. He refused to even discuss. He believed this legend so badly. I could not actually get him to open his eyes to the words, the legitimate words, because he couldn't see the scientific relationship to that. His eyes were shut to his local community here where he was inhabiting that Native American community spot, and did not calculate what they did and how they got there, and how they uh, broke treaties and how they fought and how there were battles. And so he has where the West was won in his church, and a proud cowboy. He's arrogant. What did he win? He's never been to the Mormon church, I don't think. It was funny when they, what do I do with the, what do I do in there? Well, you go in there, well, you'll feel different. You sit there and said, what do I do in there? But they had over there in the Puget Sound, they had Wi-Fi, so it worked with my phone, and we could bring our computers in there and connect also free, and so I did that sometimes with my computers. It's a validation. We've never once gone through all. Like they're so densely invalidated. They invalidated themselves by believing the prophets, and we need to turn them off. By invalidating ourselves in 6,000 years, we have no world history. The church system is invalidated from everything I'm presenting in this YouTube extravaganza of it's taken me a really, really long time. Now I'm trying to figure out how I use it for a bunch of little newspaper articles. I'm pretty sure we invalidated everything. And that would be pretty neat if we all just validated everything together at once in a picture book. With the finding, it's not a finding, so it's not scientific. It is that we don't know the written record of the history of the Bible. So with the lack of record, I'm promising to the first few verses, not knowing who wrote those down, into a mystical sermon that I caught you at a point where this had nothing inside of it, was that over in the book of Galatians was the Apostle Paul telling you, providing you instructions, telling you you were going to receive another book, and he told you. And so what we did was the exact opposite. We were shut eyes to all of the, we were not being caregivers and caretakers of each other's misinterpretations, and we permitted things like some of the most trauma to occur in books, female circumcision, and it still goes on, which that type of that causes a mental disorder. That mental disorder is what I actually think we cause in an erasure, because our congregation, based upon our performance, accepts or rejects whatever they are taught, because they've never once been taught that everything was wrong, because the Bible itself was medieval, is how I'd like to present that. The 100% medieval is no longer pure speculation that it's all I got. It is all I got that NASA has a magic water factory. It's a bad medieval joke in my personal, less than humble opinion, and or whatever it is. I'm so tired. So being so tired, I'm going to put together here, it's best to describe the website. So right now I'm thinking, Lord, just shoot. It's best to describe the website so I can say right here I saw this, and this looked like this to me. And then I took this here and I put it so a bunch of 2 and 2 equals 4. We were waiting for it, put it back together, take it apart and put it back together. That's what I did. I took it apart and I put it back together, and the words that told me what happened is it had a hidden plan that if that verse something happened to it, we didn't know our Earth fertility records when 6,000 years ago, approximately, caught over on this website, um, retained a legend of Adam and Eve when Eve lost her virginity. She was a virgin before 6,000 years ago. Type, if God wanted to hide it, he could, through Ariel Sharon needing to step down for not knowing how to read the Bible himself as an argument. And, the better we know how to read the Bible, the better we can use it for calculating little. That guy doesn't know what they're talking about. And a refusal to not show people in our leadership. It's always, well, we never really hear about it. We hear about what we get to debate about. We're so far away from any center of anything that nothing worked. Everything broke, the best I can tell. At October 23, 4004 BC, and you guys just forgetting about it. But it has that we bought it. Why? NASA, I need Freud. We bought it. Why? Please. I'd like to collect us all right now. I've got myself bouncing around on Facebook, collecting us, collecting us, collecting us while we're still around, and I'm making a bunch of notes also, because this is very important to me now that I've caught us a little bit. It's cool. We could get fixed. I never thought we could get fixed. I never actually thought we could. Is Could we actually fix everything? That one would be pretty cool. We could. We know how to. This generation, when we broke everything, we can fix everything, pretty please. And so we broke it at a sermon on the mount. Who wrote that line? Who gave the authority to teach a sermon on something without a name? The the best sermon Jesus ever spoke. I'm explaining that questions at the 6,000-year-old teaching. Yes, the best, in my opinion, it not starting that way was the best sermon that Jesus never spoke. And that's in my mind is we miscalculated our Earth history. Church systems are broken. So I'm recording myself in pets and animals because that's what I'm finding with the fact that I'm pretty sure that if I had grown up from a great ape who invented writing in the year 3500 BC, and as a scientist, I'd have to shave my head a little bit, my forehead a little bit more. And that would be our third eye. Oh, I've never thought of that. Jesus told us not to make ourselves into animals, like which I guess that would be a form of placing ourselves into a form of idol worship, because we're just idle, worshiping nothing. Which what are we worshiping if we're not happy? We all have weird anxieties. And I came to recognize with the communication with my partner Leah, she is we're psychically connected at morning and evening daily prayers perfectly in harmony, and we do it over the phone, and we do that through participation out loud. So the most I can do is say participation out loud gives that connectivity we have. So I'm reaching out to say that's actually the Kabbalistic cross in a psychic connection way. Kabbalah with a Q. I'm recording myself to explain that I'm Kabbalah. Not having to shave my forehead is why Kabbalah with the Q. It's a Kabbalistic cross. How about that? Yeah, that not having. That's so here. NASA scientists with your magic water factory, Kabbalah with a Q. The reason why I think I did not grow up from a great ape, and that using my forehead, never having to shave it is an example of reason. What is Kabbalah with a Q is that when you astrally project the doing the you're looking at yourself. And so you're looking at yourself crossing over when you're doing the Kabbalistic cross. So you're queuing it up, you're quelling it into the quell theory of, but rather when you astrally project and you go out, you see yourself facing to the east, and you do that, and the or the west. It depends on what you want to accomplish. I usually line up with the Columbia River around Stonehenge, a memorial, to be honest, and project out of there. And when you go across, I'm actually presenting when you Ata Malkuth, you're bringing this brilliant white light. You're actually seeing it, so you can see all of your astral oopses and all of your messes, and if you're looking at yourself through your spine and understanding, then unite yourself. It's a literal knighting of your spirit astral projection body. Ata Malkut Vegabura, and you draw this your Vegadula. So you can kind of see how I'm looking at this as just nothing. Uh, Blow up above us. And Kabbalah with the Q was a cult. And it wasn't. It was God hid the Bible in the Middle Ages. Is the best I can tell with first record writing being 3500 BC, and this really neat King James Bible that doesn't exist. And the Lord spake unto Moses face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend. And he turned again unto the camp, but his servant Ayusha, the son of Nun, a young man, departed not out of the tabernacle. I'm going to check their Deuteronomy 34 10 to compare questions. This is not looking good from the perspective of 1984, to be honest. The nice and accurate prophecies in Agnes Nutter, which did you read it? Is the I'll ask you guys. It's bad joke ending, to be honest. The Lord God of your father make you 1,000 times so many mo as ye are, and bless ye as he hath promised you. Let's see, Deuteronomy 1, 34. This, when we use this one to compare side by side. Oh, it's raining out here too. And Joshua the son of Nun was full of the spirit of wisdom, for Moses had laid all of the misspellings we kept something we can't read. And the signs and wonders the Lord sent him doye in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh and his servants. We kept something that's not real, that was hidden in the year 1666, 3311. 3010, I'm sorry. And we can't even use this to see which words were not interpreted properly, not translated properly. The only thing I can use this for is there arose not a prophet since in Israel like Vandumo. See, this is the 6 and 7 books of Moses. Vandu Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. By the way, this is God knew what name I was going to name. God knew my dog's middle name, according with this website thing. God knew my dog's middle name. Does that work for world peace? At 3281, where are we numerically over here? I got questions. I need to go over there. Vandu, I'm out to get you. I'm out to get you. It's a good one. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. Kids, all things were made by Him. God and Moses spoke face to face. He wants us to fix this. And with him was not anything made that was made. Did you read what I sent you? There was a lot of good stuff in there. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. Fun too. It's a bad joke. It's a disappointment, but it's kind of fun. And the light, I was baptized. This is about the Sparkies. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. On this one, it's over there in the 1611 one that doesn't exist. Here in the 1666 one that mutated from that one, evolved from. It used to say Darknesse, but over here, God knew my dog's middle name is. I need to explain to you. I'd like the Quran in your school systems. Where are we at? Five 97824. Many questions. Yes. How does this represent that our church systems is 100% broken with the 500-year medieval delusion that we know what we're talking about? At 597,824 Bible questions answered. My question at 600,000 here, approximately. We have a sacred 7, so that's good. At approximately 600,000, we're quickly approaching 666,666. Of course. So it's just a question. Do we really have 597,824,000 Bible questions answered with a legend? Yes or no, if I'm looking at 500 years, is the question I have. What does the Bible say how to love God? Question: what does the Bible to say about how to love God? Answer: in the Bible, Jesus tells us how to love God. Love the Lord your God. Why not the Lord? Why don't we make this, if we're teaching it, the Bible tells us, the Bible told us. Put everything into, what would we try this in our teaching style? In the Bible, Jesus told us how to love God. Jesus told us, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. So pretty much anything that we're going to teach has our purpose of having doing that. From Matthew 22, verse 37, we have a sacred right there. And he said to him, ye shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and mind, with all your soul, and with all your mind. So I'm trying to catch you right here at a sacred 7 to say, I used my dog. And in other words, God wants us to love Him with their whole being and in every way possible. God's own, I personally feel this is a medieval magic thing. God doesn't like us. God doesn't like us. God, there's no one on earth. If Ariel Sharon doesn't know that the Bible is broken, God doesn't like us. We're just kaplopped. Ariel Sharon, Ariel Sharon, and shame on him. These meant Ariel Sharon was dethroned, really. Let me see. And this is, we're broken right here. Our entire everything is broken right here. Ariel Sharon needs to be dethroned through our questions. Internet ministry saying thank you. They have some Neolithicus over there that they might be happy to know that God said, let us make man in our image of. And we can do this for them. Again, the voice of the compiler is heard, buttressing the comforting words of the Bible with consolations of his own. That's an extra bit, but check this one out. One could not grow tired of those words of comfort, for great honor is written. So, Ariel Sharon, you need to retire right beside Jimmy Swagger. That was pretty cool. I think that's Ariel Sharon. You need to retire. I actually think that was pretty neat when it comes. we I found the 6,000-year Earth thing in one of their dummy books. That I got like 9 of those now, and it was in one of the Jewish legend dummy books. Stupid Jews, you stupid. We kept their Jewish legend. We kept their Jewish legend so perfectly. I mean, it was so perfectly. It's a bad joke ending. We kept a Jewish legend 100%. So we didn't know what it meant. It's bad. So when I'm looking at Matthew 22:37, blow on the Bible, who wrote it? Matthew 22:37 with this little giggling cute here. Matthew 22:37. When was this book written down, rest of you children? 22:7. You don't know. So there's 22:37. I'm just gonna do 22 because we don't know. Put it into contextuals. I just can. And Jesus answered and spake to them in parables again. Oh. Over there, they took God and Moses out. 2237. They do this all the time. And the last of the women died. They do this all the time. They've invalidated their 100% invalidated. It's like the most disappointing world is percent invalidation. It meant that we invalidated ourselves from beginning to end, as the Neolithic exit with we did not keep record of Earth fertility when we first wrote things down. Also, so here in Washington State, I'm witnessing some doctors noticing, says a concern is picked up. Articles I've read are doctors are concerned, but I don't really know. Doctors are concerned enough to get it published. How about that? Concerned enough but haven't done enough research because they can't get enough energy into the research to determine what that meant. The Australian Aboriginal provided us in Washington State distance of time to the Jerusalem temple. And this distance of time, which came through a disharmonic union, in that we lost an open your eyes, close your eyes to legend, Jewish legend of all things. It is. We should have known better. They're bad for us, I guess, is a bad medieval joke. All of the bad medieval stuff came from the Jews. That's a true statement. But all of the blessings came through the Jews too. We had that water thing, that the healing pool, and angels came down and stirred it. And we have a bunch of angels that came down and did stuff. And you can have Gabriel up here next to you, and Jesus can be your dog if you're good with Kabbalah. And I'm here to clean up the OTO and explain that Aleister Crowley was an inspired author. By the way, Aleister Crowley had certain senses the same as God. Aleister Crowley. Oh, there we go. A marquee in Earth history for the world's first time, as I've given Aleister Crowley and Got Questions dot org equal authority in not opening their eyes to their maintaining a perfect legend from having a broken something that they got like a line from, and they built something. Aleister Crowley used the sacred magic of Abramelin the Mage while he chased Masons out of the OTO over on the German side. And he kind of formed his own thing that made Kabbalah go kaplap, and that it's necessary to open up the Golden Dawn again. Just to say, I'm here to clean that one up also. In order to say for that cleanup, just letting you know it's a cleanup through explaining right there at 6th and 7th books of Moses, the most I can do is explain that God and Moses was pretty relative. So our union with our willingness to accept anything in print is why I'm having a difficult time getting printed, I guess. I don't know. Because I'm not trying. It's a newspaper article and a request to capture a moment in time. I'm going to go make a cup of the coffee and go take a break. But the more data I can gather, the more I believe that with a newspaper article, go listen to my simple argument as to why this young Earth creation facility needs to just step down and no longer teach the Bible, and that man needs to retire, as a request with gotquestions.org, explaining that I've used your resource to recapitulate my Baptist childhood, and have found that through my doing that, it is through the union of being united with I have so much Baptist history. I have more Baptist history than your average Baptist pastor because I married a Baptist daughter. I went to Christian schools. Uh, I'm currently united with the weird product of the same, and I'm making contact with her mommy's church and things like that. It's very, very impersonal. It's bad, very, very personal. So here we have an opportunity to actually witness how it relates, Slater Kinney, with with us being overseeing our shep, us taking care of the flock, and I'm saying through my witnessed account that flock is broken. With the I don't really listen, so it told me the congregants are not actually listening. What are we doing? We entertain watching TV. Yeah, so we're in a medieval entertainment system of churches refusing to open our eyes wide shut to the medieval cults, everything. So gotquestions.org, I have to, what does it say, the Bible say about how to love God? In other words, God wants to love him, which he told us not to subtract from his word. So let me see what this tells me. Just as it is written in the book of Isaiah the prophet, and the thickets of the forests. God wants us to love him with our whole being and in every possible way. Cut down with the next. Jesse, branch of David, to cleanse. First and greatest of all the commandments, verse 38. Yeah, you're being apathetic. You're putting that in your literature. That's why we need to sit down and handwrite the Bible. He wants our total devotion. By doing that, you will actually become his like little trained dog and not a public performance. So when was this? Most of us can. Why did we join? I loved my church so much that I'm willing to take it down. I enjoyed my Baptist childhood so much that I'm willing to say, because that guy took my Sparky's tape off, that it is the final. He took my Sparky's tape off the ground as he's his 22 years cult. It's just a medieval magic proofing cult, and he got kicked out of the Baptist rather than come and mentored to what are you doing and how can we as a Baptist congregation union with no, we had Free Will Baptist over there, we have all of the Baptist denominations. How many are there? Can't even keep track. Fuck, too many. We want a single. I would like to just take the whole Bible away from you with the opportunity to blow on it. When was it written? You don't know. No, the Earth's not 60,000 years. NASA knows it. We need to use NASA in order to. Scientists, we have to have all of that type of legitimate science to say, we are opening up our eyes in the year 2020. We're broken. Thank you. Fix this. We're not going to argue. And not be fixed because there's nothing that's broken that's fixable. There's nothing that's broken that's fixable. It's the mating and then the what do we answering questions as to what do we want to do with our mating ritual, because it's already broken and so it fixed itself, and do we want to keep it as is with that? No, we want to acknowledge that it's broken and we're fixing it ourselves, and we're going to use that it's broken and we're fixing it ourselves to say we're going to grow up and be mature about it, is how I feel about it. And say thank you, government, for providing us, stopping even having it in our preachers. We were in our sermons, we were told not to speak of things sinful. If we were preaching that homosexuality was a sin, with a we don't know the age of the earth, and with all of this, and my response is my dog liked having sex with cats, and my Yorkie is the best. NASA, I have a magic water factory over there. The this Yorkshire Terrier actually every couple days, every 7 days, yeah, Dad, I'm gonna go mount that cat's fat. He'd look at, don't leave your cat alone, and he'd go over, and he preferred one of the two cats over, and that cat would always purr. It was weird. So that goes along with my scientific evidence. I'm quite sure I didn't grow up from an ape who invented writing, to be honest. NASA, we have a magic water factory over there. I'm sorry, I was baptized when I was young, and I've been working on this. NASA's magic water factory turned out to be a darn newspaper. But the most important lesson, a book that I want to say, The Refusal of the Pastor to Open His Eyes. He missed out on the absolute greatest opportunity in 2017, where I'd already, some of that shit that I sent you, I already had that already pieced together. And I was trying to say, look what you can do with it if you look at it. Look at what you can do with it if you look at it. You'd clean up your church systems is the end result. That's why there was a hidden plan. And it is, I'm doing this because that medieval magic poof cult lifted my Sparky state. We have Kennewick Man, 9,200-year-old fossil remains. So now I'm going around assigning all of these things to our young earth creation facilities because I've taken you underneath my wings. You were all over the place, and we forgot we were wrong. That was disappointing. Why do I keep disappointing myself? We forgot we were wrong. So I could not talk to a pastor about him forgetting that it is possible to just be wrong because he's stubborn and insensitive. And that is a false authority. False authority, this pastor with a false authority. What do I do with that extreme of an obstinate false authority? So refusing not only teach the Bible correctly, but refusing to look with me. Hey, dude, we have what does smug and arrogant. The earth's not 6,000 years. We kept a legend, Pastor. We kept a really, really, really bad legend. And all I can tell with the 6th and 7th books of Moses is the Bible went kaplap in the year 1666. NASA, help us a little bit. We saw this one coming. So as I give this a little bit more thought, I'm going to stop and It's working from this Vento. Vandu, it's Transylvania. Vandu. It was you're going to get kept picked up at V at Evolution. Vandu. That's what it was. Holy poopy, I finally figured it out. It was I was gonna figure it out at Vantu, Transylvania. Vantu. Giggling. We're supposed to smile about this. Vantu. God and Moses did not speak face to face. What did you kid say? Yeah, what did you kid say? YouTube. Oh, got a question. Oh, what does the Bible say? Yeah, we were there. Did God and Moses, has anyone, did these people see God and when they were reading the Bible? Because their church systems were broken? The Bible told them that no one had ever seen God in John 1:18. And it does say that no one had ever seen God, the only God, who is at the Father's side. He has made him known. So being here right at the side of the Exodus 33:11, everyone to accept the Lord Jesus Christ in Exodus 33:20, we erased, we flattened it. It's 33:11 with two accounts. And you can see your face because you didn't say, you said, because we put these two together incorrectly right here and have a false interpretation, we erased ourselves. We have a 1-to-1 erasure right here. For no man can see me and live, for subtracting the legitimacy of the face-to-face portion of that and trying to figure out how God did that and was sitting there like I'm showing up face-to-face as friends. God declares you can't see my face and live, so you have no conscious awareness of how to obtain world peace. For no one may see me and live. These scriptures seem to contradict other scriptures. Seem to. Over in 33:11, it seemed to. But you're not comparing. Has anyone has ever seen God in these verses? It's a question. We're reaching out to you to find out why we don't understand what it meant. It would have been the appropriate. Why don't we know what face to face meant? Why don't we know what face to face meant right there? And it made a lot better sense. Joshua witnessed the 120 years, so Joshua witnessed written record. That makes you wonder, you can actually observe God walking around. He moves left and right, up and down. He made water come from a rock. It's not legends. As to how they moved around. Oh, so we kept flat earth legends as to how they moved around with the medieval 6,000 year earth. That's what we did. And we didn't interpret it because we were building buildings, and I'm just asking you to sit down and watch us write it once. Wow, we could turn this off in like 3 minutes. At God and Moses face to face and over at John 1:18 and delusional disorder time. NASA help us. Really, we can turn this thing off right there. We made a mistake. Days of Peleg, what did we disorder? And God cursed us, and we were expelled from the Neolithic comprehensive awareness, because Neolithic was, we don't know where we came from because we're not them. Yeah, that's a true one. We don't know where we came from because we're not them, and they made maps and they don't know where they came from because they think the earth is 6,000 years old, but they have maps and they didn't keep good dates. That one's it. That's a true statement. Around the year 1666, the What else can I give you? Vando. That one's a bad joke. That's we got to make this fun. Vando. With nothing. I gotta record and fill in all of this stuff expositing from Vando. It's supposed to be fun for the Sparkies. It's literal. Oh my goodness. We literally cook it literally wrong. We didn't get one sentence in comparison. Fun to correct. That's my testimony when I exposited using my experience with Auschwitz-Birkenau, looking for the gas chambers and admitting that it's a pleasant aroma with smelling the 6,000-year legend around the internet. To be honest, they're about one and the same, but it has me giggling. Yeah, the Jews kind of deserve that. Ariel Sharon, yes, motherfucker, is make some good decisions for us for once. You guys are mentally broken. With this thing broken out on this internet, there are 7.7 billion of you broken. Vandu. So I think I've reached a state of delirium, to be honest. So the Bible told us that no one had ever seen God in those few verses in John 1:18 and has a delusional disorderment of time. So here I am explaining, yeah, we took something out of context and kept it as legend. So here, in doing that, so God declared you couldn't see his face because you used it wrong, and with the legend, for no one could see you for maintaining the 6,000-year-old Vantu poofing these scriptures. It's the final judgment, one we were expecting. These scriptures seem to contradict each other because we contradicted our purpose for using the Bible with this one when we subtracted God and Moses speaking face to face for 7.7 billion of us. I got questions on internetcult.org, my bed partners. I love you guys. Which describe various people seeing God. For example, Mr. R. Raj explaining that verse meant what it said. It described Moses speaking to God face to face. Why do you ask if it told that he could walk among his people? But you asked, so you are. Thank you for admitting that you didn't know. And in this instance, you had an opinion with it meant something, and I'm sorry you're wrong. With face to face is a figure of speech, because I'm really in close communion with that friendliness. I've had that worked out for me, and I'm just giggling. To be honest, God and Moses were speaking to each other as if they were two human beings having close conversation. So they were speaking as if, but that's what they were doing face to face. So we can't see them face to face, meaning we are not able to see that this was a face to face legend that God, with, if you don't want to see me being friendly right there and walking among you and interpreting this as, oh, what can I do with the broken thing? We came up with this close conversation thing. It meant something that face to face as friends no longer meant. With a vandu. In the year 1666, the Bible went kaplap naps NASA. I'm sorry. Vandu. God. It's because it's had to be caught. There's nothing inside of it but instructions on how to catch it at that. It took me 13 years. It was a long, literal search. But witnessing this pastor actually arrogantly refused to discuss that those words meant what they said. Disappointment. But it'll make my dad happy. I'm going to go make some coffee. Thanks.